some new techniques to design. In activity 2.5, stretches, extrusions, and revolutions, oh my, we will be doing 3 different figures. The first one right here kind of looks like a reducer or an expander for a socket wrench, but we will show you how to use that easily. First thing you want to do is you're going to go open up your data panel. And when I do that, I notice that I am still in my 1.2.4. Whoop, if that goes away. Multi-view drawing. I go back to engineering design. I am going to create a new folder. And that new folder should be 1.2.5. And this one, I'm just going to call this extrusions. All right. You can name everything you want. Extrusion sounds good enough. All right. So I just did that, and it just disappeared. Oh, I never hit enter. 1.2.5 extrusions. And then I'm going to hit enter. And now I have it. I'm going to double click on that, and this is where I'm going to save my 3 files that I'm going to make. I close that. I'm going to save my first file. My first file is going to be 2.5A, and then my last name. All right, and notice this is under 1.2.5 extrusions. Oh, we'll go 1.2.5A. All right, depending on which class you are, you'll change it. So now I'm here. I got my file, version 0, my first one. Now, the first thing is you need to know here is these are not in inches anymore. You can't see it here, but on the other thing you can see they're going to be in millimeters. So I go to Document Settings, Units, I click Change Active Units, and over here, I'm just going to drag it over here to be close. It is going to say what you want it in. I want it in millimeters. I'm not going to set it as default. I'm just going to change it for now. Double check to make sure it's there. Awesome, and now we're good. So what I have here is I have a like a cylinder with a little piece coming out. And this piece right here, I noticed the initial column is 30 inches or 30 millimeters high, all right, and it has a width of 40. The reason I know it has a width of 40 is the circular diameter here is 40. That's the distance across. So it's pretty much a 40 by 30 cylinder. So I can do this a couple different ways. I can make the circle with the diameter of 40 and then extrude it up 30. But another thing I could do is I can actually use my rotate figure. If I click on create a sketch and I click a front view, so I'm looking at this now from the front, and I'm going to click on it here. I am going to sketch a 20 millimeter by, so I'm going to sketch half of this, and then I'm going to revolve it around. Just like in geometry used to do with the revolutions, this thing is going to be 30 millimeters high, and it's going to be 20 millimeters wide. Now you may say, why is it 20 millimeters wide? The diameter is 40, from the center to the side is 20, and when I revolve it around in a circle, it's going to go become 40. So there's my 30, my 20, and my 30. I hit finish sketch with just a simple rectangle. Now, if I hit this right here, I can see my rectangle looks pretty nice, and there's a button right here called Revolve. It's under the Create. What that does is it revolves a sketch around a profile, and what it does is it makes it look the same way every time. Now, it says first thing, pick the profile. I pick this face, and when it says axis, where do I want to rotate it around? I'm going to pick the axis that's 30 millimeters high, because I wanted to go around in a circle there, and I pick 360. I could pick things such as 180 degrees, go half. I can pick numbers such as 270 and go 3/4. So you could do a lot of neat things here. I'm just going to go 360 in a circle and have my cylinder. Once again, you could have done this a different way. I'm just showing you what the revolution button does. Now, on top of the revolve button, you have to keep on going. All right, so the next step is going to be, we are going to sketch we need this little square on top, okay? This right here is called a fillet. We're not going to worry about that yet. We're just going to worry about making this square go up. So we know that it's 15 millimeters high, and we know that it's a 10 by 10 square. So I'm going to do a sketch on the top of this circle, and the way I could do a 10 by 10 square centered here is I'm going to go to Create Rectangle, and instead of doing a 2-point rectangle, I'm going to do something called a center rectangle. That means I'm going to put the center point down, and it's going to build out from there. So I got my center point rectangle. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I want the center to be right at the center of the circle. Place my center point there, and then I can drag out. Now, however I want to make this, the center always stays the same. And like I said before, it's going to be a 10 by 10 rectangle. I hit enter, and it is indeed in the dead center of my piece of cylinder. I hit finish sketch. I hit this. Now your cylinder should be on top as long as you picked this as your plane that you were sketching on. If it's underneath, delete it and start over. Now, I am going to extrude this right here, 15 millimeters high. So I go to extrude, click on my square, and just my square, and then I hit 15. Look at it. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, if you hand this in, that's not very good because you missed a bunch of the things we were doing. But you got the basics you need. Now we're going to use something called fillet. It's this button right here. It's a modify feature. What that does is it rounds the edges of the solid by adding materials or taking materials away. So it pretty much makes it smooth. If you look at your iPhone case or your Samsung, whatever kind of phone you have that case, the rounded edges of the case that you have on it, hopefully you have a case so you don't break it, are pretty much fillets. So that's the same thing. We're going to click on that, and what do we want to do? We want to do each edge. So you're going to click on the edges you want to do it to. There's one, there's two. Now I'm going to do all four, so I have to go up to my cube, press and hold my button, and drag my cube in a circle so I can get to the other two. So now I can see the other side. I'm going to click one, I'm going to click two. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 edges with the fillet. Now it says, what type is it? Constant edges. Now we want to do, what is the fillet radius value? Well, if I look here, it says it. The radius is 5. So I go over here and I type in 5. And when I do that, notice it comes out. We're going to use just a rolling ball corner. There's different ones you can use, setbacks, rolling balls. Rolling ball is an easy one. But if I hit OK, and if I look at it now, it's all smooth and coming out like that. Perfect. Now the last thing we notice here is there's a thing at the bottom. This thing at the bottom is called a chamfer. All right, that's another modify technique. So if we go to modify and we go to chamfer right here, what that does is it bevels the edge of a solid surface by removing material or edges. So that just basically just trims the edges off and makes it smoother. So we click that, and what do we want to chamfer? You can go back to your special cube right here. We want to do the bottom edge. So you pick the edge on the bottom, and now it's going to chamfer. Now there's a couple different things. I can just move up if I just have millimeters, but we don't know what we're going to move here. So I'm getting errors. This says it's at 30 degrees, and it's 5 millimeter edge. All right, that's what 5 millimeters and 30 degrees. So this just gives edges. I want to change this, not equal distance, but a distance and an angle, because I have the angle I'm going to use. So now my distance here, it says is 5, so I hit 5, and my angle isn't 45. My angle is 30, and I hit enter. 30 degrees and 5. I'm going to hit my home button. All right, I can even shimmy it down a little bit to get a better view. I'm going to slide it over to my settings, Control-Shift-4, and I am going to Command-Shift-4, sorry, not Control, take a picture, and there's my figure. Don't forget to do File, Save in the end, so you have it in case you need to go back. My user description, and we're done. So we just created the first figure of 3 in this lesson. The next one's pretty easy as well. So until the next part of the lesson, great job.